Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome to part 4. In my last video I built the rear arms, as you can see all the way back there. Now we're going to finally install and get everything put back on the back of the Baja. And then hopefully in series 5 or part 5 I'm going to start taking apart the whole front end and getting the whole front put together. The front should go a lot quicker than the back. Like I said, the back you don't really have to take apart this far, but I also wanted to do maintenance on the transmission, so while I'm there, I might as well do it all. Alright, so I'm going to start off by installing this front plastic piece. It keys into the bottom like that, and then there's 2 bolts that get threaded on underneath. I'm just going to get everything loosely started for right now until I turn over the Baja. So that piece will look like that. Again, I'm going to leave everything loose. Alright, so on my specific setup, I'm still running the rear calipers. This is your little hex piece that the brake discs fit onto. That goes onto the lay shaft. You got this little set screw with a long pin, kind of like a drive shaft pin. I'm going to put a little bit of Loctite on that, and then this goes down through the lay shaft and gets tightened. Just like that. Then you have 1 disc go on this side. Then you have your center like cooling fan to help kind of dissipate some of the heat, or it's just a spacer some people say. And then your outside. Then you have a plastic retaining clip that just kind of gets snapped on around that hex piece. Just like that, just gets snapped on. And then these are my outside pieces for the spur gear. I'm just going to put them off to the side. I'm going to put some shims against this bearing for the Castle Creations conversion kit for the Baja. I'm still running the Castle conversion kit. So let's get the Baja pulled back over to me. Alright, so I got the Baja pulled over. I'm going to take one of these shims and put it towards the outside like that. And this is, like I said, the Castle Creations conversion kit. You're going to want to snake the lay shaft through that. And then, since I don't really want to take the motor out, I just have to kind of manipulate it and get it back into place, which is no problem. The transmission will go up over that plastic piece I just installed, and then the transmission will seat back into that square cutout. Just like that. So you kind of have to get this plastic piece in first in order to get the transmission in, because then you can't slide this plastic piece under, which isn't a big deal. It's a little bit of a pain, but like I said, I'm just going to leave this all loose until I get everything all put together. The Castle Creations conversion kit was kind of sloppy and doesn't really line up that great, so I like to just do everything, do it up loosely, and then when it's all together, I'll tighten it all down. Alright, so I made a little bit of a mistake. Your front brace, you want to make sure you get that underneath and in front of the transmission, which isn't too big of a deal. Since I didn't screw anything down yet, the transmission will just pop back up, and you can kind of just snake this little piece in underneath in front, and then you can put the transmission back down, which was no big deal. Just I missed that part. Alright, so this little plastic piece is pretty simple. This is like your rear suspension hinge pin brace. It just gets held in with 2 screws. Alright, so like I said, this plastic piece just goes right behind the transmission, and all the bolts go in from underneath. And I'm going to flip the Baja over to get all these screws installed. Alright, so with the Baja flipped over, the 4 screws that go into the aluminum housing, you're going to want to make sure you just put a little bit of Loctite on them since they are going into aluminum. The other ones that go into the plastic, they get held in by a lock washer, not a lock washer, they get held in by a lock nut that's molded into a plastic holder. So with just a little bit of Loctite on all of them, I got my drill set up, so I'm just going to sink them in real quick. Alright, just like that, those are all the bolts in the bottom that hold on pretty much everything. Let's get this whole Baja flipped back over. Alright, I'm going to hold off putting the A-arms on the backs just yet. I'm going to get the shock towers installed. So the shock towers go into these bolts down here. Again, you could kind of reach them from the outside. Alright, so here are the 2 upright pieces. They just fall into place like this and hold up the rear shock towers. They kind of just fit into place like this. This is my bracket again for my rear servo. So I have different screws that go through this to hold this, but it's still 2 screws nonetheless. So just like that, there's my little bracket for that. I'm gonna get the sway bar kind of installed loosely. So the sway bar has its 2 little set screws. So that's the rear sway bar on, nothing really special or crazy, it's kind of simple. I'm going to tackle getting the upper part of the rear frame on, and that's my custom piece to allow me to utilize the rear brakes. So as I drop one of the linkages, but that's no problem. But this is the one-off piece that I made to kind of accommodate the Castle Creations rear upper chassis brace, and also utilize the stock HPI brake setup. So I'm going to just slide open the brake caliper shoes and kind of wiggle this into place. Alright, so it's hung up a little bit, but it's just on the brake shoes, which is no big deal. It'll just all fall down into place once I start getting all the screws in it and stuff like that. Alright, so on this side you have a little spacer that goes underneath, and then a panhead screw goes through, or a countersink screw goes through, and they'll just get tightened up. Alright, so let's go ahead and reposition so I could kind of get the arms, the rear arms into position. Alright, so I got you all repositioned. I'm going to go for the arm that's closest to me, which is not that one, but this one. The top utilizes the stock hinge pin since it gets captive inside the original plastic pieces. Just like that. And then these are my upgraded lower hinge pins. So they just go let's get the arm in its location. Make sure you get the drive shaft in its spot. That drive shaft in its spot. You know what the problem is? I got the upper arm in the wrong way. So like I said, I didn't know which way it would go, but it looks like it goes this way. No big deal. Like I said, I didn't know which way it would go. Again, just make sure your drive shafts are lined up, and then this bottom hinge pin gets slid through. And what do you know, just like I said, those pieces are in my way, but we'll just go like that. No big deal. You know what, I'm not going to be able to do it. Alright, so the rear bumper little pieces, you're going to want to wait to put those on. They just get in the way. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that. Alright, so I'll have to put the rear sway bar on off camera. It just gets clipped back into its normal piece. Let's see if I could swing the Baja around to the other side here, and we'll get the other arm installed. Alright, so hopefully you can see that. We'll get this arm installed on this side. So this gets swung around this way. The stock hinge pin goes up on the top. Alright, get that going like that. We'll get the Baja turned back around to the other side. Alright, so my little brake bracket's in the way, no big deal, 2 little screws, and that comes out of the way. And then, like I said, this is the rear plastic piece that's kind of like the rear molded bumper, but then it also holds the top upper hinge pins. I can reinstall my servo bracket. So these are the rear bumper pieces that I had installed before that didn't work out. They just get clipped in like this, and then 2 core screws go into the plastic. Just like that. Alright, so this is the previous Turtle Racing rear shock tower that I had installed on the Baja. I'm going to still run the same shock tower. Alright, so that's the shock tower reinstalled. Let me go grab my shocks. Alright, so the upper shocks go in just like that. So they go in just like that. These get attached to the roll cage, so I'm kind of just going to tuck them like this to get them out of the way for right now. Let's get the bottom shocks mounted. So just like on the old arms, the bottom shocks get mounted the same way. Just make sure your sway bar is up. Like again, I didn't connect it yet because it was a pain in the butt. But just like that, they just go in. Just like that. Alright, the SD card hit its max limit again, but I'm going to finish installing all the motor pieces off camera. I don't want to bore you guys with that. I just wanted to mainly show how the rear arms get installed. Again, I still have to tweak them and adjust them, stuff like that, but that's pretty much the gist of it. It looks pretty good on the back of the Baja. Definitely looks wider. Hopefully that's coming through on camera. But it definitely looks a lot wider than the stock ones. Like I said, it's over 2 inches, an inch per each side. And yeah. Alright, so the next part, we're going to tackle the front and get this all disassembled. Alright, thanks for watching.